What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Evolve with Emily show. I'm your host, Emily Hayden, and today I have coaches Amanda and Hannah on the show today. You guys have seen them before, and we are going to talk about 3 mistakes that you may be making and how we would solve them. So, Hannah and Amanda, welcome to the show today.
Hello, everybody.
We are really excited to have you guys. So let's just dive right in. I see people making mistakes that I made when I started, and I figured that today we could take some time and discuss some of those and give them some tools and tips of what they can start to implement right now to maybe not make the mistakes that we made or that we see our clients make. So let's go ahead and start in the realm, in the arena of training. One mistake that I see a lot of people make is they go from not doing any structured program at all to all of a sudden they're doing like a 6-day-a-week program with extra cardio. And usually like 9 times out of 10, fake statistic that I made up, 9 times out of 10, usually they end up burning out. They end up exhausting themselves. Their bodies are hurting so bad that they can't actually be consistent with it beyond about 1-2 weeks. Maybe if they're like really dedicated into it, they get to 3 weeks. But honestly, it's a lot for the body to go from not training at all to all of a sudden training 6-7 times a week. So one way that we resolve that as a team is we actually take a look at where you currently are at. So just for the listeners that are listening, if you don't work with us, ask yourself, where am I currently at? Am I someone that is working out here and there, maybe 3 times a week, if you're being honest? If so, create a structured 3 to 4 times a week training program and really be consistent with that. And when you feel good and you're ready and you feel like you're recovering, if your schedule allows and if it's a part of your goal line, go ahead and up it to 4, maybe 5 times a week. So taking those baby steps will help you to really turn this into a lifestyle and turn it into something that is congruent with your goals versus, oh, I just need to hop on a program to try to get these results that I want really quickly. I want to look really good for this bikini, pool or this bikini I have to wear at the pool. Right? So take a step back and focus on the longevity. Focus on what kind of habits do you want to create in your life? What kind of physique do you want to create? Physiques take a long time to create. So if you will stop just being in a rush and actually take the time to build solid muscle, to build the foundational, muscles, fast twitch and slow twitch muscles that you need in order to support the physique that you want, you'll actually be able to be consistent, have a new lifestyle, and reach your goal. So going too hard too soon is definitely one mistake that I see people make in training. What is one mistake that you see, Amanda?
Yeah, and I think just to go off that too is just like you had said, like where are you at right now and can you adjust? But also really during that time, it's like, are you prioritizing your recovery as well? I think that sometimes we find that, our clients, sometimes their prime reason for joining the program is, okay, I need to get back into training. I've lost a little bit of motivation. And a lot of times when we jump back into a training program, we get that momentum. And then it's like, we just want to go, because we don't want to we're scared that if we take one day off, we're going to let off the gas pedal and never go back. So I think that's something really important to be mindful of is yes, understand where you started, and that's great that you have that momentum, of course, but what else are you doing to complement your training? Are you taking your recovery serious? Are you taking your rest day serious? Where is your head? Is your head, only focused on your training, because it's like when you go from 0 to 100, if we're not mindful about it, I think we don't realize our bodies are actually hurting and our bodies are saying wait, too fast. I want to enjoy this ride and I want to progress. But when you go too hard, it really is stalling it because your body is this is not where we're at right now, and it's literally kind of asking you meet me where you're at and I'll take care of you kind of thing. So I think that just to complement that is where is your recovery? Are you really paying attention to how your body's feeling, not just during training but afterwards too?
One thing that I've been using for my recovery, which has just helped tremendously, is Cured's hemp-infused roll-on balm. It is 250 milligrams of CBD, and it's a really clean and easy roll-on application, which I like because other products, it might be some sort of lotion or something where you have to wash your hands after. This one just comes in a balm, so you can just roll it right on the area that you would like to treat, and it really helps to reduce aches and pains. It soothes sore joints, and so this has been such a lifesaver when it comes to, my body, my recovery, because as you guys know, I've been doing jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. I do bodybuilding and cardio. So I put my body through a lot, and this has really saved my life. Those mornings when you wake up and your neck feels tight, or maybe your lower back, your shoulders hurting, I'll immediately put some of this on there. I drink a big glass of water. I'm drinking my greens. I'm doing all these things, right? And about 30 minutes after waking up, I feel night and day different. So if you guys deal with those aches, those pains, the soreness, and you want something to help give that fast acting relief, definitely try Cured Nutrition's extra strength hemp infused roll-on balm. And right now, Cured is going to offer you a discount by going to curednutrition.com/Emily Hayden and using coupon code Emily Hayden at checkout. That's CURED nutrition.com/Emily Hayden and Emily Hayden at checkout to save you 20%. Check it out and let me know how your recovery improves. What are some things that have helped you guys recover better? What is something that's in your recovery routine?
For me personally, being like something easy to access that anybody can really invest in as long as you have a tub is like Epsom salt baths. I think that those are huge, not only for like your physical recovery and like muscle relaxation and all of that, but also like that's when I am lighting a candle. I'm reading a fun book on my Kindle. I'm not reading anything like personal development or anything educational. Like it's just kind of a great time for me to unwind. And I think that that's just a really good way to also, if you do it before bed, make sure you're getting sleep, which is so highly undervalued for recovery.
Amanda, what about you? What's something that's in your recovery routine?
I definitely do love me some Epsom salt baths, but also just stretching. I think stretching is something that I personally don't do as often until I start to incorporate it. And then I'm like, oh, okay, here I am listening to my body. This is what it needs.
Yes.
So stretching is definitely one of them.
I have to say, I am so guilty in my past of doing what you said, of getting really excited. And for me, it's not a fear of like, oh, I'm going to lose what I had. I just get excited. I love training and I want to do all of it all the time. And so even recently, I had a little bit of self-awareness where I was like, man, I actually need to go back to programmed rest days, because for the longest time, I've just allowed myself to rest when I feel like I need it. But the problem is my body and mind sometimes aren't too connected. Sometimes my body needs it and my mind's like, let's go lift, because I love lifting and love doing all the things. So recently I decided that just, and this is kind of what I hope that we're able to help people do, is raise their self-awareness of where they are currently at and what their current patterns are. Me, Emily, my pattern is I love to train. I genuinely love it and I don't want to rest, but my body needs it. So my action step, the way that I resolve that, is by implementing scheduled rest days. And when that day comes around, even if I don't want to take the rest day, I'm gonna take it. And then another piece, I was in the gym recently. I was at the end of my leg workout, and normally I probably would have done one more exercise, but my lower back was feeling tight. And I know this sounds so basic and kind of like duh, but for me, it took a lot of self-control to not do another exercise. I actually went into the mobility room and I did what you said. I stretched, and I was stretching and foam rolling, and my back totally released, and I felt really good after doing that. And I still felt like I had more in the tank. Like I could have hit some more exercises or sets. And I was like, Emily, you did a great job. That was a great workout. You also stretched. We're done. So for me, it's like, I genuinely enjoy it. And so I have to like pull myself back a little bit to have longevity, because if I don't have longevity even in the week. We think longevity, we think like a year, lifetime, but even during the week, I want to be able to train and feel good. And when I'm at the gym, I want to push hard. And you're right. If we don't take that rest and don't take our recovery seriously, if we're not getting that sleep, we're not going to be able to train the way that we love. So it's actually the better, wiser decision in the short term, for sure. And long term. Hannah, what is one mistake that you see when people start with their training?
Yeah, so a common one that I see is just like randomness in a training program. So there's not really any plan that's being executed. It's kind of like going to the gym, being like, okay, maybe you do have a weekly split. Maybe you say Mondays I do legs. Okay, cool. And then you go in there and you just pull up some random swipe workout, or you do that, or you just do your workout based on what equipment's available or based on what you like. That one's always cracks me up.
Well, okay,
I've been there. We've all been there.
Why is that a problem? Doing only what you like?
Because then how are you going to get better at the things? The reason you don't like things is because you're not good at them. So if you don't do things because you don't like them, you'll never get better at them.
So true.
But seeing people do like just a random array of things instead of following a program. I know some people have the idea that following a program can be tedious or boring, but it's not if you're doing it right. Because if you're doing it right, you're learning how to do the movements better, which is fun. You're getting stronger at those movements, whether that's in your physical poundage that you're lifting, the amount of reps that you're doing, the rest time that you're taking, but you're actually progressing through those movements and learning and getting better at those movements. In my opinion, if you are to just do random things in the gym every time you go in, that's like pulling open a textbook and reading random chapters instead of reading it from cover to cover. So if you just pull up a textbook and read random chapters, you're gonna be confused a lot. And that's how your body feels when you go into the gym and you just do random workouts or random movements with no purpose behind them. Versus if you go cover to cover, you understand the material. Your body says, oh, this is the adaptation I need to adjust for. Cool, I'm gonna do that then. Versus just random nonsense and then wondering why you're not getting the results that you want.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love how intelligent you are in the way that you're able to it makes sense, like being a teacher. So my experience with that, I've definitely done that before where I go in, I'm not really following anything. And compared to when you're actually following a program, you're actually putting your weights, your reps, your sets in there. It's really encouraging. And it's some people feel like they lack motivation. You maybe would be motivated if you would just track what it is that you're actually doing. Because like you mentioned, when you're able to actually tangibly see that progress of, oh, last time I was only able to do the 20s for 12 and now I'm at 25s for 12 and I feel great. Like that can be so motivating for you to come back to the gym and try to get that set again. So I think for people who maybe don't have a very specific goal, you know, maybe they were a competitor and they're kind of like losing focus. They don't have clear set goals anymore. That can be a really easy way to implement some goals and some excitement back into your training again. So I think that's really beneficial. And that's also why we switched over to our Evolve X app that we have, where people have their workouts inside of the app. And then they can actually put the weight that they used, the sets, they can make notes. The app is really just such an amazing tool. How have y'all's clients enjoyed the app? What has been some of the feedback that you've gotten from the clients?
I think I know our clients have really been enjoying it because it's like you can track yourself and you can kind of see where your progress is, but also going back to that, kind of what I was talking about earlier is like understanding where your body's at. And you mentioned something a little bit about it. It's like, can I go one more, and really being like true with yourself? It's like, actually, I need, you know, my back's hurting a little bit. I need to go a little bit lighter, but maybe I'll do more reps. So even with their training program, and you brought it up, Hannah, too, it's like, oh, it's boring. I've been doing it, but not really, because you have the opportunity to understand like where your body is at, where it's like, you know, maybe one week you're going super heavy, a little bit less on reps, and then you realize, oh, I'm a little sore, or whatever it may be. You can still continue that progress and still continue to get strong, but maybe just go a little bit lighter and increase rest, but you're still working towards that goal and you're still getting stronger at every capacity. So I find that, you know, having that accessibility to record in the app has been so helpful.
And it has an exercise library. So if people want to double check that they're doing the proper exercise, you can actually see how it's executed right there in the app. So, okay, let's talk about 3 mistakes people may be making when it comes to their cardio. I am kind of going to start with like along the same lines as training. I think a lot of people think, oh, just cardio will help me lose all the weight that I need to lose. And I see them doing way too much cardio. And what they're not accounting for is the amount of inflammation that it's actually building up inside of your body. And when you have that much inflammation, it actually makes it harder to lose weight, for your metabolism to be working properly. Inflammation actually affects so much. And that is definitely at the extreme end. If you're just doing some light cardio, you're not probably going to to get there, but it takes a toll on your body. So it actually could be affecting your training as well. If your body is always inflamed and always just exhausted, and you won't have muscle endurance or strength during your weightlifting sessions. So I think it's really important not to use that as your number one tool for fat loss. I think it's really important to look at a bunch of different things that, you know, we're discussing here, from training to nutrition to sleep, recovery, and cardio. Cardio is like a definitely a great tool, but it's not the only tool. So too much too soon and not accounting for the inflammation and it affecting your training is actually one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of people make.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. I think we put so much pressure on ourselves to be like, okay, I have to do cardio. And it's kind of that momentum where it's like, oh, I finally am doing it. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. But yeah, inflammation is definitely something that many may not realize that, you know, affects them so much. And also too, it's like, instead of doing cardio every single day, maybe pay attention to like the benefits it's giving you, right? Like if it's helping you get in your zone, if it's helping you, you know, just connect or whatnot, maybe it's, you do, you know, we can do a cardio plan for you. Mm-hmm. And then those other days, if you really need that, go on a walk, you know, do some like, you know, I don't know, go on a walk or go on a hike, or I hike is a little bit more, but you know what I mean? Like mm-hmm. find what it is that the cardio is giving you mm-hmm. and do it at like a different pace.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
I would say, kind of piggybacking a little bit off what Amanda just said, is I think being in the bodybuilding world and around those things, and a lot of people who have, you know, found the program knows that you've competed previously. That's a common thing. We think cardio is done at the gym. It's on the treadmill. You're X, you're done. But in reality, like, dude, it's summer. Like, go for a hike. Go play some pickleball. If you haven't started playing pickleball yet, please go to Walmart and get you a couple paddles.
I've never played.
You know, go find a hobby. Yeah, it's so fun. Really? Oh my gosh, it's so fun.
Is that the little one? Is that like the little like ball with like the thing and the little rackets?
Like a little wiffle ball almost, and then there's paddles that are like bigger. So take regular tennis and make it smaller, but then also take like ping pong and make it bigger. So on my opinion, when it comes to cardio, I think that in different seasons, especially summertime, it's important to recognize that you are allowed to get off the treadmill or the Stairmaster or whatever you're doing. Like, you can go for a run outside, you can go for a walk, you can play any outdoor sports that you enjoy, go longboard, go skateboard, go swim, go do something. But it's okay to like get outside. Like, that still counts as cardio. And there's so many benefits too to like just being out and about and doing that. And personally, like, that brings me a lot more joy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like walking on the treadmill before my workout as a warm up to get my head in the game, like all of that stuff. But really, going outside on a walk with my dog or rollerblading or anything along those lines is like 100 times more fun anyway. So don't be afraid to take your cardio outside and get creative when the weather permits.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's fun finding just different ways to have fun being active, because that's what we used to do when we were kids, right? We'd go outside and play like basketball with the neighborhood kids or street hockey. And I feel like we lived this really active lifestyle. And then as you get to be an adult, you're like, oh, my activity is inside of the gym and that's it. So it's fun just finding different ways to be active. What about supplements? Let's talk about maybe a supplement mistake that people could be making. And I think I'll start, I guess we've been going in order kind of. So one mistake that I see people making when it comes to supplements is they are relying on the supplement for their progress. I see a lot of people that haven't even been tracking their food, aren't even eating on a nutrition program, and yet they're asking me about buying a fat burner. And I always tell them, look, I mean, depending on the brand, you know, I work with First Form, very high-end brand. It's a great product. It's going to do what it says it does, but it cannot outwork your work. You have to be the one that is on your nutrition. You have to really be on point with it. I actually always tell people, don't like use that as an incentive. Like, okay, once I've been consistent with my training, my nutrition, my water intake, my sleep, then I can add in that supplement for the little extra boost, but don't use it as your foundation. The foundation is always nutrition, training, sleep, recovery. All of those things come first, and then supplements can definitely help. There's so many reasons why we would want to use supplements and why they're so helpful and beneficial, but they definitely should not be the foundation of you trying to get in shape or, get the goal physique that you'd like. Is there a mistake that comes to mind for you guys that you see people make?
I think that definitely too. But I think also is, going back to understanding your body, like, what do you actually need, and if you have the luxury to be able to, I guess, test or for your hormones or kind of know where your hormones are. I think just actually knowing what your body actually needs. I know that there was one time where I was just taking every little supplement that everyone was talking about. And then as personally, I dove deeper into like my hormones and like my actual health and stuff like that. I was taking things I really didn't need. And then it's like my body had more of something that I actually really needed. You know what I mean? So I think if you are able to, and your health in general is really something that is, your primary goal. One, yes, understand it is a supplement to your nutrition, but also understand like, what is it that like you personally actually need? Like, I might need more iron, but you may not, so it's just knowing what you actually need.
I think that's such a good point to make because, we're in this age of all of us are sharing what we're doing. And sometimes when you see someone that has something that you want, in this case, maybe a physique or a fitness level or a performance level, then you think, oh, what do they do? I need to do that. And so what you're mentioning is just really important for people to have an objective reality of just because this person that I follow on social media does this or takes this doesn't mean that that's what's best for me. And, everyone here knows I've shared a little bit about my hormone journey, but anyone that is in the United States can get their hormones tested by Transcend. So if you are not able to get a comprehensive blood work panel from your own doctor or you don't have someone to go to, it's a telehealth company. So you can actually, from anywhere in the United States, get your hormones tested. And then from there, you get the information of what's happening on the inside of your body. And then you can decide if you need to go forward with an HRT protocol, if you need to supplement with some natural supplements from your store, or if everything looks great and you can just have that on file so that every year you can kind of make sure that your health from the inside out is on track and it never does take that downward spiral. So I'm in agreement with you. I think everyone should get their hormones tested as just a protocol for making sure that you stay nice and healthy.
And just to add one more thing to that too is, if you are able to understand your hormones, like know that a lot of supplements you can get from food, right? Like food is medicine. So it's like, say for example, you need magnesium. Why don't you try food first? Like and do your research, right? And that's kind of the fun part about like your personal journey, your personal nutrition. It's like you can do the research for yourself, and so it's like, for example, magnesium, if you need that, what foods carry that, right? And I think it's what we were talking about a little bit earlier is that with society, it's so easy to be like, oh, what are they doing? What are they selling? Da, da, da. But it's also like, what do you have access to? Like it's food, and why don't we start there instead of like a quick fix of a pill or a supplement?
Yeah, and the more educated that you become with your food, the easier it is to make a better choice, right? So if you're sitting here and you need a certain nutrient and you learn that, let's say avocados have that nutrient that you need, now all of a sudden you're not choosing avocado because of the X amount of fat that it has in it for a meal. You're actually choosing it because you're like, oh, I actually need the nutrition that's in this. And when you take it that way, I feel like making those food choices becomes easier. It's less about what is the quote unquote right or clean food to eat. And it's more so about what is this food able to do for my health, for my body, for my performance, for the way that I feel and think. And for me, when I started to change the reason why I was choosing these foods, it became so much easier to live and eat a healthier lifestyle.
Part of the purpose of supplements, some of them is convenience too.
True.
So if it comes down to like, I'm either not going to hit my protein goal or I drink a protein shake or eat a protein bar, then do that. Like that's fine. But, so there are matters of like convenience and such, but yeah, where you can get something out of food first, like if it's like, oh, I could have this protein shake, or I can actually sit down and like eat a meal that's going to make me like full and feel good and satiated. Eat the meal, eat the food, eat the chicken, eat the whatever. But if it is a matter of convenience, or speed or anything along those lines, or sometimes, where it's like, gosh, I don't want to eat another thing. Like I'm full, but we know we need to hit our protein. Do a shake. That's easy. So if it's a matter of convenience, as needed, I don't think anything's wrong with that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I love protein shakes. I actually use pretty much all the protein from First Form, the level 1, which is the slower digesting meal replacement one, the formula 1, which is a fast digesting one, like right after a workout. And then the vegan Power Pro is delicious. And they just came out with the French toast flavor, which I've been really enjoying. The oatmeal cookie is still my favorite, but I like using them all for different reasons. And one of the reasons actually, and I figured we could maybe share this because I feel like it's a good time in the podcast, but a little food tip for those people, let's say that they are dieting or they're on a healthier program and they're having to deal with cravings. What is something that has helped you curb a craving? And for me, I think number one thing is a protein shake. Sometimes I feel like I'm so hungry and I'm going through and I instantly want to go for like some sort of quick carbs, which I know in my head is not going to, sustain me, fulfill me, satisfy me, but it's just kind of like what my mind wants in the moment. But if I'll pause and instead make a shake, which you can do a bunch of different ways, I'll usually just do a scoop of the protein, some water, maybe a little bit of almond milk, and then some egg whites. And then it's like a lot of protein. I fill the shaker cup all the way. I make it big. And then by the end of it, I'm full enough and satisfied enough because it tastes delicious that I'm like, okay, I don't actually need to like go snack on a bunch of, fruit or chocolate or whatever. And that's actually saved me a bunch of times. There's times when that protein shake did not fit my macros, but for me in that moment, it was a matter of, okay, I'm going to either go off my program or I'm going to decide to have a protein shake instead. And so I wasn't perfect, but I chose the protein shake. And I think that's a much better decision than just choosing to eat 3 bowls of cereal, which was the other option that I had.
I would like to kind of address a different side because I think it's so important to address, especially with our clients, that everyone's nutrition plan is customizable, right? Mm-hmm. And we've talked a lot about like, where are you at in your journey? Mm-hmm. And some clients aren't on the journey of tracking their macros, and they're on a journey, for example, say maybe they just got out of a really bad relationship with food and a very bad restrictive relationship, right? And so maybe their goal is to learn how to, yes, prioritize their health and their decision making, but also having that grace and learning that balance, because learning that balance is honestly so hard. I think, in my opinion, I've done a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. And I think finding the balance is right up there with tracking your macros. So I think it kind of just depends too, right? So for the person who has had challenges with restrictions and binging, and they're finally at a place where they can learn to just have that craving and then just be done with it. In addition to, no guilt, no shame, and just being able to like still, love their body and love their decision and be able just to move on. I think that's an important part to address too. I know that that's kind of where I personally am at in my journey is, even though right now I'm trying to kick back up on like my nutrition, things like that, but I also know where I'm at and like my past with food, that for me, I can learn to say, hey, I want that bowl of cereal, but I don't need 3 bowls like Emily.
Hey.
You know what I mean?
Watch it. I'm kidding. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. You can't eat 1 bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, okay? 1.5 at least.
You're right. You are right.
Am I the only one? Hannah, back me up here.
Oh.
I thought someone would be on my team.
Cereal's not my thing. I don't know.
Okay, my listeners, can you please reach out to me and let me know that you're with me, because these psychopaths don't like Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
You do? Okay.
I do.
Not as much as me. It's okay.
Maybe not, but I do.
We all have our things. I'm sure there's something Amanda and I can come up with that it's like, no, I cannot eat just one.
True. Okay, continue.
But no, I think it's important to, and those are some of the things that like on a personal one-on-one, we can talk about, where it's like, okay, how can I honor my cravings, but still prioritize like my health plan, like, and I'm not saying, okay, let me just honor it all day and have, pancakes for breakfast and da 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 da. But it's like, how can we still have a grip on our plan or focus, but also being able to gain that self-control and say, okay, I just need that, but I'm good because I am prioritizing my health. I think sometimes it's hard to find that, like, we think we failed because we did one bad choice, right? I think it's important, especially where the client's at with their goals and mindset and nutrition, like, where can we find that sweet spot for you?
I love that you mentioned that because it really is so important. Everyone is at such different levels and such just different stages of their journey, right? And I do make jokes about like the 3 bowls of cereal thing. I am huge on having moderation in everything. And so I think it's beautiful that we're able to give our clients an experience of teaching them what moderation looks like, right? So if you have one client that's like, previous Emily that would eat 3 bowls of cereal, no joke, then it's like, okay, Emily, well, maybe for right now, maybe let's get the single serve of Cinnamon Toast Crunch so that if you would like it, it's there in the single serve, and let's move on with our lives, right? For me, I think it's just important that, like you mentioned, we just recognize where people are at, we meet them there, and then help them take those conscious decisions, knowing that it's not always going to be perfect. They're not always going to be in an upward trajectory of perfectly getting to that next spot in their season. But as long as we can, kind of guide them and direct them along the way, I think that's really powerful, to give them that opportunity to maybe miss the mark a little bit and then to get back up and try again.
I think for me, as far as like cravings go, I actually have like a specific client example that I talked about, I think it was a week ago. I had this call with this client and we worked through. So she was dealing with some high hunger levels in the evening, like after her last meal. She's like, dude, like I'm still hungry. Like I'm not eating, because I'm trying, she's on macros. So I'm trying to follow my plan. She's like, so I'm not eating, but like her goal is fat loss. So there's going to be hunger. You got to, there's going to be a little bit. That's a side effect. Mm-hmm. But I'm like starving. I'm like, okay, well, let's walk me through your day. So I had her tell me, what time do you get up? When do you work out? When's your first meal? When's your second meal? Third meal? What are you eating? We walked through her whole day and it was a simple switch. So she wakes up first thing in the morning. She was eating her breakfast. So her schedule's a little more difficult. She gets up around 3:30, 4 o'clock to go to the gym. Yeah. Woo, badass, right?
Talk about excellence.
Yeah, no kidding. She has to go to work and school, but she does go to bed early to compensate for that. Mm-hmm. So her bedtime's much earlier than normal as well. But she was getting up, eating a full breakfast, like a legit meal, bacon, turkey, bacon, eggs, that kind of thing, and then going and training, and then having a protein shake, and then going to work. On with her day. So it was a simple switch. I was like, okay, I have a couple ideas, but here's what I want to try first, and then shoot me a message in a few days and let me know if it works. I want you to take your protein shake and I want you to drink that when you wake up right before you work out. She's drinking Formula 1, fast digesting protein shake. I said, do that first. Eat your breakfast after you're done working out, like 30, 45 minutes after you're done working out, eat your breakfast. Or whenever. If you're hungry when you're done, eat it then, whenever you want. So she made that switch and she's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm like completely satiated throughout the day now. So I think what was happening is she was eating a chunk of her food at 4 in the morning. And that left her with less food to eat later in the day. And she was feeling those hunger feelings. And on top of two, guys, I personally anecdotally have noticed that the mornings I get up early, it's a hungry day. Like I'm going to be hungrier. I just am. I get a little less sleep than normal. It messes with your hormones just a little bit, little tweaks that are going to make you feel and notice a little bit more hunger. But making that simple. So it was a combination of getting used to getting up early again and just making a simple shift between the protein shake and the breakfast. And she's like, I'm fine. I'm totally fine now. Okay, cool. Perfect. So sometimes it's a matter of like analyze what you're currently eating, your food choices and your meal timing, and see if it's really advantageous to you right now.
That's so good. And something else I want to mention with that along the same lines is, for example, what was it? Oh, there was this like pre-made waffle type thing, right? And it was like almost 300 calories. And I ate it. And after I ate it, I was like, wow, I'm literally hungry. And then I looked at this meal that I had prepared and it was a little bit less than 300 calories and it was rice and vegetables and chicken and it was delicious and it was such a big portion. And after I ate that meal, I was full and I was satisfied. right? So it's also looking at, okay, what am I using my caloric intake on? Even if you're not tracking, let's say you're not tracking at all, just look at your food and really assess. Do I feel full? Do I feel satisfied? Do I feel energized? After I ate the little pre-made waffle thing, I was like, I'm ravenous. Like, I'm so hungry, and you're telling me that just cost 300 calories. I'm not even tracking, right now exactly, but it's like, it ended up not being worth it to me. So that's another example of how you can make better food decisions. Yeah, the waffle might taste good, but if I'm not going to feel satiated and full and energized, I actually don't want to choose it. I want to choose a thing that's going to help me to stay on track with my goals. So I think it's important that you mentioned that. So, okay, I want to move in. Oh, go ahead. Did you have something?
Oh, no, just real quickly too. I wanted to kind of mention Hannah's example of, working with your coach and, being able to make changes to your plan, right? It's like we understand what you need. We put a plan together, but there's always that communication. There's always that connection that we can change it along the way, depending on what you need. It's not this rigid plan where it's like, here, do this. You're on it for 90 days. No questions asked. It is what it is. It's just like Hannah showed. It's like, we truly care about your progress. And if something's not working out for you, let's talk about it. Let's change it. Let's see how we can better support you. So I think I'm really glad that you mentioned that, Hannah.
Yeah. And it's exciting too, right? Because it becomes this like exciting curiosity of like, okay, so this doesn't work for you. Let's find out what does. I loved how you're like, yeah, try this and shoot me a message in a few days. We'll figure this out. And then I think it's important because then the client doesn't feel alone in whatever it is that they're trying to tackle. So I think that's an important piece. All right, mindset. Let's talk about 3, and instead of saying 3 mistakes people make when it comes to their mindset, maybe it's more so better portrayed as 3 things in people's mindset that holds them back from being able to achieve their goals. So I would say for me, the number one mindset is people do not have a good understanding or a sober assessment of what they actually currently have in their hands. I see a lot of people fall into the victim mentality, and they think that they need something else outside of themselves in order to get to where they want to go. But I actually have the firm belief that they have everything that they need right now in order to achieve their goals. And I think the only way that you really start to overcome that is to take some intentional time in your life to build up your mindset. Sometimes people set these really big goals, yet their mindset is kind of like in kindergarten, and they've never read kindergarten books and first grade books and second grade books and done the second grade homework and third grade homework, yet they're expecting their mindset to support this kingdom building that they want to do. These queens and kings out here want to have these kingdoms, and yet they've never spent the time to work on their mindset. And, that's something that can be done through an array of different things. The way that I encourage people to practice that, the listeners on the show, and also our clients in Evolve X, is through different simple tasks like daily journaling, daily intentions, daily reflections, as well as books, podcasts. And in the program, they have every single week a different topic where we really dive deep into things like time management and self-confidence and self-belief, gratitude, self-trust, success, failure. All of these, weekly assessments are intended for people to dive deep into themselves. So I really see people holding themselves back by not realizing that they actually have everything that they need in this moment. And so if you're someone that's just listening to this and that is kind of speaking to you, literally type in YouTube victim mentality versus victor mentality. Or actually, I should shout out myself. Type it in on my podcast channel. On my podcast channel, I've talked about this before, and take some of those action steps and start to work towards that victor mentality. Get out of the victim mentality, because the victim mentality will always tell you the excuses of why it's not the right time, the excuses of why you can't do it or why it needs to wait until later. Later's never going to come. I have people that have told me for like a year and a half that they wanted to be a part of the Evolve X program. They have a vacation coming, or they have a wedding they're going to, these different things. And it's like, literally the best time for you to start your journey of evolving is right now, today, exactly where you're at with whatever it is that you have. So pick up a personal development book, pick up a journal, listen to a free podcast, create your own action steps, do whatever you need to do to start creating those changes and making that progress in your area of your mindset, of your self-belief, your self-trust. So I think that's one way that people can start to work towards a stronger mindset. Is there anything that comes to mind for you guys?
Yeah, I love that. And to piggyback off of that is having that awareness of yourself and where you're at and just going within, right? You talked a little bit about it, but it's like, I think when it, like, for example, if it comes to a certain goal that we have and we're not able to take that step and we feel stuck. And so we grab the external and trying to say, okay, well, maybe I'll just try this. Maybe I'll try that, and even when it comes down to like, you're limiting your beliefs, you're like, okay, I know what that is, and so I'm just gonna da. But you're still in this place of stuckness, I guess. But if we can really go within and really understand the root of maybe where these limiting beliefs are coming from, we can actually release it. And and I think it's one thing to kind of, sure, I think being aware of like what it is the first step, and that's great, but it's like, how can we go deeper and really understand where that's coming from? Because like you said, I'm a firm believer too that we all have everything we need within. It's just, do we want to educate ourselves to find that? Do we want to educate ourselves how to find that, right? And there's so many resources out there, and I think that's what's so great is that there's so much resources out there, and then we're here to support that, right? And to really help you understand that. So I would definitely say, taking the time to be aware of where you're at, and also be open, be open to what your journey holds. Because I think we think, just like you said, our big vision is like this kingdom, but we're not open to the obstacles. We're not open to the lessons and the different paths and this and that. But when we can be open to it, it's like we start to, it's almost like when we think about like all the cells in our body, right? We start to unravel all these little paths that we can take. And I think that, I know for me personally, I think that has been a big part of my journey, is just being open to, instead of having that victim mentality, like, why isn't this happening? Why is this happening to me? It's like, okay, well, yes, that was very hard, but how can I now be open to understanding the lessons and, everything like that? Because when we can release and open, we can then receive. So I think that's a concept we maybe just aren't aware of yet. So I would definitely say all that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And just to give people a picture in their head, what you just mentioned at the end made me think of someone that is just gripping so tightly to everything that's in their hands. Everything, maybe it's the hard things that they've gone through in life, the limiting beliefs, the victim mentality, and they don't realize that they're squeezing onto it so hard. And what you just mentioned, by going down this journey, you'll learn to actually open those hands into this palm up position where now you really are open. There's actually space there for you to be given something for you to receive. And you're only given those things by what you're able to let go of and make space for and room for. And the way you do that is by going down your own personal journey of growth and development, in the array of different ways and resources that are available, which let's quickly name like a quick resource that people could use for personal development. I think I'm going to just, in this season of my life, mention breathwork and a breathwork session with a one-on-one person, being able to do that very intentional time to focus on your breath. And the reason I say that is because it's literally within you at all times. You always have access to your breath. You can go and do it by yourself. But I would say do it with a practitioner that really knows what they're doing, because if you get that first session, you can easily replicate it. Sometimes I think people overcomplicate it in their head, and then it's difficult for them to get into it to start. But I think if you, kind of similar to like with a trainer, right? If you work with a trainer, you're like, oh, that's how you do a squat. Okay. And then you can go and do a squat. So I would recommend a breathwork session for personal development. What is a resource you guys would recommend?
Something that has been so impactful for my journey is yoga. Is learning how to connect your mind, your body, and your spirit, right? And I think with yoga, it's not just an exercise or a stretch, but when you think about it, there's different movements that help you open up in a sense, right? And I think they say you hold trauma in your body, you really do, right? And it's like there's just ways that you start to open up, and it's been so beautiful for me because some days I'm like crying in these specific movements, or some days I'm like joyful or whatnot, but it helps, it almost, the movement and the breath and the connection, I feel like it helps you understand your body a little bit more and really help you either release, or also it helps you feel that power within you. So I know that yoga has been a great modality for me. And, I've seen a lot of, and I think it's such a beautiful practice to incorporate with your training program. I know before we had talked about, recovery, and I know a couple of like our clients have incorporated yoga, and it's such a great blend together.
For me, a big one is just journaling. Like even last night, I just sat down with my journal because I just had some frustrations in my head. I couldn't, I was agitated, I was annoyed, and I'm a kind of person who just like locks that stuff inside typically. So like I don't have to talk to anybody about it, but I can just spill it all out on paper and let it be there. And it's nice to like get it out of your body and get it out of your head a little bit. So for me, whether that's journaling through a thought process or just brain dumping, I think that one's a really good one. And, it just helps you learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah, I agree. There you go, guys. 3 easy things you can do. All right. And then Hannah, what is maybe something when it comes to people's mindset or maybe confidence, self-belief, self-trust, something in the personal development realm that you believe could be holding them back?
So I'm kind of torn between two. So I'm going to give one, a 2-sentence answer, and then I'm going to go more in depth on the other one.
Okay.
So one is, it has to do with self-confidence. A lot of people think that they can't achieve something, but it's because they don't stick to the promises that they give themselves. Like, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. And then you are quote unquote tired or make an excuse and you don't. And then you're like, well, I didn't do that. And then you're not confident about your ability to achieve something because you haven't stuck with something yet enough to prove to yourself that you can do it. So keeping the promises that you make to yourself and valuing those just as highly as the promises you make to other people. But the one that I really want to dive into is actually process versus result focus. And I think an easy way to do this, and obviously makes sense with the Volvex and with training, nutrition, all the things, is so let's tie this into our training. The process, falling in love with the process versus waiting for the result. A lot of people at the beginning of a mindset shift or a fitness journey or anything along those lines, they're going to say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. That is what I'm going to do. That's what's going to happen. And then they'll say in a check-in, or they'll say in our conversation, they'll say, my goals for next week are to lose 2 pounds. And I'm like, no. Let's chat. When I see that, my immediate reaction is, well, first off, that is not a goal that's within your control. So that's an outcome goal. I want the outcome of my efforts to be to lose 2 pounds before our next check-in. And that's great. You can do everything that it requires to lose those 2 pounds before we talk again, but I can't promise you that it's going to happen. Nonetheless, you cannot force that scale to go down 2 pounds. So instead, let's take a look at what are the processes you need to take, the steps you need to take, the things you need to do to get there. Okay, well, you need to follow whatever your nutrition protocol is. You need to hit all your workouts. You need to get your steps in. You need to make sure you're drinking water, prioritize your nutrition, quality of food, etc. So instead, let's look at those process goals. Let's look at getting stronger in the gym. Okay, so our goal this week is to increase our squat weight or whatever along those lines, increase our press, whatever it might be. But look at the process, the steps it takes to lose those 2 pounds, and focus in on those. Those are your controllables. Those are what you can do. Stop determining your success on a results-based outcome that, no matter if you do everything right, still might not always come every single week. That's not how fat loss works. You don't lose 1 to 2 pounds every week. I freaking wish.
I know.
That'd be awesome. And but that's not how it works. So fall in love with the process. Find the things that you enjoy in the process of chasing your goal, and don't just belittle yourself or berate yourself every week because you haven't had the outcome that you want, because that sucks. That's not a fun way to live. That's not a fun way to measure progress. It's not a fun check-in conversation every week. It's not a good way to grow or shift your mindset at all. Instead, shift your mindset to focusing on what are the steps I need to take to get to my outcome, and that's where I'm going to put my confidence in myself. That's where I'm going to put my effort. That's where I'm going to value my success of the week, is the things I can control, and not did this thing that I can't 100% control happen or not, the outcome that you want. Put it on the process.
So much wisdom in what you just shared, because it really, I think it helps people to learn how to enjoy and value and appreciate the journey, right? And if you can really learn how to enjoy the journey, then it's like you're going to get to where you're going and you're going to have a great time getting there. I think the people that focus too much on the destination, they sometimes miss out on the beautiful moments that's in the journey. And like you're mentioning with weight loss, right? Not every single week is a 1 or 2 pound weight loss or however much weight loss. Sometimes you're stuck. Sometimes the scale's up a little bit. And the same exact thing is true in life. In life, we feel like we took a step backwards. But in reality, life was like, actually, I really need you to learn this lesson. Maybe it's in the form of finances, right? Maybe you make a financial decision, it ends up not being the right financial decision, or you kind of go over on something, or, you have some sort of mistake. And that mistake was actually necessary, because without that mistake, you wouldn't learn. You wouldn't put new like bumper rows, kind of like when you go bowling, they put the bumper things up. You wouldn't put those up in order to help you stay on track had you not known. And you only know sometimes by actually going and getting it wrong. And it's okay to get it wrong. It's just, what do you do? How do you adjust? I actually just started this book club with a few girlfriends of mine here. We got organized together and we're reading this book and we're learning about different attributes. And one of them is adaptability. Adaptability is the ability to calmly and quickly adapt to changing circumstances and environments. And that's basically what we do all the time for work, right? Like we assess what's going on, assess what's changing in your life, whether it's, you're moving or you're switching your goals that you have for yourself, or, all these different things that might come up. And we're saying, okay, how can we adapt to this? And how can we get you on track for this new path that you're on? And I think that adaptability is something that if you can learn how to do that, man, that's where the power is, because anyone can follow a program. Anyone can be, consistent with enough practice. But what about when your plan goes in the trash, right? Something that you didn't see coming comes. You essentially get a right hook to the face that you didn't see coming. What do you do then? And I think what's really powerful about, this journey of evolving is you're embracing the change. You're embracing the discomfort. You're embracing these moments that you didn't see coming, knowing full well it's literally simply a part of life. So, okay, as we wrap up here, we did want to let you guys know that we are accepting applications for the next round of Evolve X. We have decided to take the next round of clients in a group so that there will be a group of you guys all on the same week as one another. We've seen some really incredible progress when we run the clients that way. So we're excited to extend that invitation to you guys. If you guys don't know, when you sign up and submit your application, you can actually choose if you have a preference for working with one of the coaches. You can ask to be aligned with the coach that we believe is best fit for you. And just so you know what that looks like on the back end of things, we actually all conversate about it. And, Hannah will say, I actually think that this is the perfect client for Amanda because Amanda's strengths are X, Y, and Z. And I can totally see how she would be able to help this client the best. And we get really excited about what client goes with which coach. And it's a really fun process on the back end of things. So if you guys are unsure, make sure to just let us know. And we will make sure to give you the best coach that truly is going to reach your goals. We are not clients or coaches that have an overload of clients. We actually keep our client list smaller so that we can have that one-on-one interaction and that hyper focus and make sure that each one of our clients feels like a priority. So you're not getting added to this massive roster. We actually have a smaller roster and we like it that way. It's a smaller group of people that are really dedicated towards their personal journey of evolving. So if you would like to be a part of the full extensive program with the training, the nutrition, and the mindset, and the group coaching, then that is the main option that we have. But if you're somebody that is already working with a fitness and a nutrition coach and you're actually only looking for the mindset only option, we have that option available as well. Is there anything that you, the coaches, want to add before we close out the show here about the program or anything in between?
I think one thing, I think our program is special in general, but I think that one thing that is super, special is the connection that we get. Our check-in calls are weekly, but they're not just one-on-one email, but they're one-on-one video. So whether that's FaceTime, Zoom, and we really get that in-person connection that I think everyone in this world can benefit from. And I feel feel like that really levels up the connection that we can make personally with the client to really, better support them that way. So I think that's really something special for, clients to have with us.
And I think too, something that really stands out that I notice a lot of the applications I read through really come through from this podcast, which I think is great because, it shows that they really align with what you have to say and they're really pushing to get better and to evolve and to reach next level. And so I always tell people on our application calls that I'm like, if you like Emily's podcast, the audio lessons are like the podcast on steroids. Like that's how I envision it. And that's how I describe it. Uh-huh. And I support that 100%. So I do have to say, like, from the mindset portion of things, if you ever have been like, I want to level up like mentally, but you're overwhelmed by the wealth of information, because there is a ton, like there's podcasts, audiobooks, books, journals, planners with like prompts in them, like a plethora of advice for self-improvement and advice for like mental toughness and development. But if you're like, man, I'd really like to like just follow a course for that, this is a great place for that.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. And that's kind of what led me to create the course. Is I wanted to just have a structured way for people to evolve in their lives. People can go out there and get all the information they want online, but it is very overwhelming. So this is cool just to have a 12-week journey and focus where it's like, okay, here are the 12 things that I think are most important to focus on for these beginning stages of your personal development and your journey. And, it's been on my mind and heart that I feel like it's kind of probably time for an Evolve X point 2. So that may or may not be in the works in the future. But for now, yeah, this is a really great place to start. So thank you, Amanda and Hannah, for being on today's show. It's always so much fun chatting with you guys. And I love seeing you guys light up about what you do. Like, as you guys talk, I get so excited watching you talk because I'm like, wow, they really love their jobs. And I love that you love to do it. I'm the same. Just we all have our different, zones of genius. And I love seeing you guys light up in yours.
Thank you.
Alrighty, guys, you know the drill. If you are interested in being a part of Evolve X, click the link down below. It says apply here. If you still need some more information, there's a second link and you can read more information there. Make sure to check out the frequently asked questions on the website because I do have all of the topics for each week listed out there. So if you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to send me a DM or one of the coaches. We would love to chat with you guys. But if you are ready to send in your application, and from there you'll actually be able to hop on a coaching call with one of the coaches and we'll get to address all of your questions, concerns, and anything that you want to discuss to make sure it's the right fit for you. We can do that there on the call as well. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.